Hi Polly, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, it's so lovely to be here. All the amazing work that you guys do. It's great to kind of, collaborate and to support each other. So very excited.
We're really excited because the first time we met you was obviously on the sober sessions, and we just you didn't have enough airtime for everything we wanted you to say. So I don't know whether that's how you felt, but we definitely felt it, didn't we, Lisa?
Oh, I was gutted. Like, we got a little bit from you, and as soon as we finished that, I was like, Alex, we need to get Polly on the podcast as soon as possible.
Yeah, to be honest, the lady I was on with, Rachel, she is phenomenal, isn't she? I was like, I want to hear more about her. She's amazing. So
she was amazing, but you definitely needed your own, Polly. Definitely.
We should have done two, one with you and one with her. Yeah, hindsight.
Well, it's what a brilliant opportunity to meet up all again.
Yeah, we're really grateful. Thank you. So let's start then from the beginning, if that's all right, and kind of what brought you to sobriety.
What brought me into sobriety? The fact that, life was going downhill. I was kind of out of control of my own mind, basically. Life, I was full of paranoia. I was very sketchy. That was my word for it. It was like paranoia. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. I was just, all I saw was, I just hated exactly what I saw. I tried everything but giving up the wine. I'd done various personal development things, and kind of throughout my sort of personal journey, I'd gone, oh, well, this will help and this will help. And I'd done like Stop October a couple of times, and I'm a bit of a rebel, so I was like, I am not doing dry January. No way. I want to do what, I don't want to be doing what everybody else is doing. But I know that in October, when I did do it, resentfully and begrudgingly, I did start to feel like a little bit better at the end. And I certainly noticed there was a difference in my mood and my sleep. But I drank twice as much the next month because I'd been good for a month. So I just wasn't there. And I knew in my heart so I was doing some coaching training at the time, you'd had to do quite a lot of self-coaching and peer coaching. And it kept coming back to wine. I was like, what would it be like without the wine? What would it be like? So it's that curiosity was kind of there. And I was just sick of my own BS, sick of the pathetic excuses, sick of the 3-4 o'clock in the morning, like, right, today I'm not going to drink as much as I did yesterday. Today, this is going to be the day where I do my 2 consecutive days without alcohol. Today, this is going to be the day. And this constant, cycle of chitter-chatter about alcohol and the thought, and I was so consumed with it all. I was just absolutely sick of it. There was no kind of particular rock bottom. It was a slow accumulation, and I just knew if I carried on the way that I did, there was going to be some serious consequences. And I didn't like the version of myself, and it almost felt like there was a sober version of me, like trying to burst out, like, come on, you're so close. So and I'm kind of living that now and loving it. So
it's so fantastic. We hear this a lot, and like the number of people when on their story that say, I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was just fed up of it. I just had enough. And I think that's how it is for all of us. Like, it gets to a point where you just can't stand yourself and the way that you bullshitting yourself anymore.
Yeah, completely. And in your hearts of hearts, it's like, if you're thinking or if you're Googling, like, am I drinking too much? Or, how do I get rid of a hangover? Or how do I know if my liver's okay? It's like, there's an issue that needs to be addressed in one shape or form. So, and I think it's having that honest kind of conversation with yourself as well. It's something needs to change, and projecting into the future. In one of my courses, I did do exactly that. It was like a time travel exercise. So what's life going to be like in a year? What's life going to be like in 5 years? What's life going to be like in 10 years? And it was really quite bleak. Yeah. It was a real eye-opening moment for me. And I was like, oh, it's not going to be pretty. And you have a course of routes. So you're like, I know which one I want to be on. But how the hell do I do it? You know, this, you know, it was my best friend. I commiserated with it. I celebrated with it. I did my days with it. You know, it was a constant in my life.
Yeah.
And the thought of taking that away, I was like, how the hell do you do life without alcohol? My brain just could not comprehend it at all. So
it's so funny, you know, because we were talking the other day, I can't even remember who it was with now, but it was definitely someone on a podcast about how we used to plan our hangovers. So like Lisa's favourite hangover trick was Diora.
Oh, I had such good hangover tricks. I use that for Snowdon and mountain climbing now. The same trick, but just not for hangovers. So I used to have one before I went to sleep after a night out. I thought I was like, we'd go for like a girly weekend, and I was like, girls, I've got the diary light.
Yeah, you did, honestly. We'd be in Ireland, and all of a sudden we'd get in our room, and when we stayed in a room, we knew we were only going to literally sleep in it for 3 hours. The shelf, it was somewhere to put the bags. And on the side would be a pair of straighteners, next day's clothes, a bit of makeup, and Diora light, you know, like paracetamol or something. And I used to do the same. I had some called iOS drops, these yellow fizz drops, swore by them. Like, and I used to have them and my paracetamol after my last drink, whatever time that was, and then wake up and have them again. I'm thinking now, how crazy that you planned to be debilitated for the day.
definitely.
How crazy is that lost time?
And how much forward thought you put into it as well. It's planning ahead. It's like how manipulative and how creative we can be as well. And it's learning, like, they are still skills, but now we can utilize them to really serve us rather than, you know, sabotage us as well. So
Yeah.
I hear you. I was quite late to the Diary Light party, but yeah, I was like, yes, on that. And I've got some athletes in my family, and they had like the gels and the drops that you put in the water, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, I'll have that. Like, I could breathe with my body, so that will help.
It's mad. It is. You've do you have like any kind of story? Well, of course you've got a story, but like, what do you think brought you to the point of the drinking being a problem for you? Because obviously everybody's drink problem has a backstory to it.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to lots of other people's stories, and I wasn't the typical you know, I had, as a teenager, I experimented and I went all in. There was like an occasion where I obviously drank one of those little bottles of gin at a party. I didn't have the capacity to have a little bit. I think with me, I'm an all or nothing. So like, I remember being at this party, just drinking this gin and getting the bus home. I was obviously violently sick, so the bus driver kind of kicked me out, and I just fell where he placed me, which was in a grassy kind of, you know, verge kind of by the side of the road, but actually quite remote and quite rural. So, and I just slept there for a couple of hours and eventually kind of got myself home at age 13. So that was quite scary. I've never ever been able to drink gin, even when I was like, you know, rummaging around the house, kind of going, there must be something else to drink, and there would be gin, and I could never ever stomach it, even the smell. So I should have learned then, really, but I didn't.
It was the gin's fault, though. That's what we do. We blame the
you go, I'll drink tequila instead.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I then went on to try various other things. So I kind of then sort of learned, and I didn't really like the feeling of being drunk. I didn't, but there was this kudos amongst friends and peers. You know, when I was growing up, things were slightly different. But I knew, I knew it kind of took me somewhere away from who I was and my problems at home, and how, you know, my version of myself was. It took me away from that, and I think that's what I liked, that feeling. I never really liked the taste of alcohol per se. It was the sensation that it gave me. So and I kind of lent on it towards, you know, I kind of come across as like quite an outgoing person, but in, you know, with all my kind of demons, I needed this bravado, I needed this front, I needed this mask. So it lended itself beautifully to kind of give me this. So I used it quite a lot for that. And it wasn't really until I used to go out with my girlfriends, you know, and we were on vodka and Red Bull, so we could kind of dance all night. And my husband he used to drink red wine, you know, it's a civilized thing. We got together, so it was kind of like courting, that dating. And I kind of noticed that I would have to have that last bit. We'd share a bottle, but I'd be like, actually, I want a bit more. I want a bit more. And I never kind of got satisfied with just, you know, that, whatever it is, you know, half a bottle. And I wanted more, and I wanted more. And I think it really helped dilute adulting, you know, responsibilities. There was quite a lot of pressure on us. We kind of, you know, had various businesses along the way, so it kind of took the edge off. So it learned really for me to escape from whatever was kind of going on in life. And I kind of realized I had some demons, so I had some counseling and saw, you know, some various sort of therapists, and it would come up, but they weren't concerned about how much I was drinking. So I was like, wow, that's okay then. So if they're not worried, then I'm not worried. This is normal. So, and of course, as we all know, your tolerance level starts to creep up, so therefore you drink more. You know, your dependability, it helps in this scenario. So I have it in this scenario. So the bandwidth was definitely getting bigger and wider. And it just kind of accumulated really, the stress and adulting, and just that, you know, the more I drank, the rubbish I felt the next day. And then my days were kind of getting short towards the end. The days were getting quite shorter. I need a drink to help me because of hair of the dog. You know, I can't wait to, you know, get the kids into bed so I can start drinking again. And they become quite manipulative and cunning about it. Well, if I drink earlier, then I won't be worried about driving the next morning. And you're like, oh God, these like pulling and, you know, these pulling and pushing kind of rules. You start to bend and flex, and it's scary. It was really scary. So I think it was a gradual build up. I really liked how it made me feel. You know, like I said, I had like a horrendous toxic relationship with myself, and my self-talk would be saying the most horrendous things. You know, if you said it to somebody else out loud, you know, they would like smack you on it. It's like, you just don't, you know, I couldn't see any good in myself. I was a waste of space. You know, I used to say I was an F up, you know, I just absolutely despised myself. And for a couple of hours, it just gave me a buffer. It just put pause on, and I could just escape from myself. So, but then kind of piecing it all together now in hindsight, you're like, well, the next day it had all the ammunition it needed to wipe the floor of me. Exactly the game. You said you were going to have 2 drinks, you didn't, you know, or you're such a waste of space, you're a bad mum, you're a bad business owner, you're a bad, you know, you're just a bad person. You know, why can't you just have one? You know, why you always got to take it to further on? So it kind of was this horrible vicious cycle of, you know, self-sabotage, you know, self-critic, and then this kind of self-fulfilling prophet. And I was just stuck in this horrendous wheel going round and round and round, and sort of piecing it all together. It's like, and now it's so obvious. I look back and just go, oh, well, the wine was kind of fueling that, and this inner self-talk and destroying your relationship with yourself. You know, it's kind of take the wine out, and it's like, you know, now I'm nearly 1,000 days alcohol free, so 3 years in January. So, and I'm so proud of it. It's like I decided to do it. I did it. I didn't have any blips. I didn't have any, you know, kind of didn't fall off the wagon. It was just solid. Like I said, I'm an all or nothing person, and that goes against me, but also works in my favor. So, and every day I just felt a little bit more proud of myself. My self-esteem grew, my confidence grew, and this inner dialogue, this inner bitch, I kind of called her, didn't have anything to grasp hold of. It was kind of like each day she was shrinking, you know, and the shame and the self-hatred, you know, each day I kind of had a little more of a chink of an armor in them, and I was winning. So that's kind of
Polly, what I'd love to ask you is, because, you know, we have the sober experiment, and we speak to people who are just wanting to stop drinking, and that's the biggest fear, is stopping. And, you know, people, the self-hatred and the talk, and we drink a lot, don't we, to numb things out. And I know you said like you had your demons that you had to deal with. So how did you do it? What did you do? And what was the hardest part about quitting the drink?
How did I do it? Well, I kind of got accountability. I found some other people that were like-minded, and then I think that helps dilute it. Like, it's not just you, you know, I had friends who were big drinkers, and we all justified each other's behaviour. You know?
Yeah.
Finding other people who are teetotal or part of their sobriety or having on an alcohol-free challenge, you're suddenly like, oh, okay, and listening to their stories, and you know, because they're all a slight different version, and kind of going, oh, it's not just me. You just feel a little bit more, yeah, it kind of gives you a little bit of an anchorage, leverage, and you're like, okay, brilliant. Very early on, I wrote down my whys, and I did a really, really powerful exercise, and I do this with my clients now. It's getting deep with your whys, like not just a superficial layer. It's like asking yourself more whys and really sitting, and basically, it sounds really cruel, but your whys should make you cry. And I hate that word should, but I'll come back to that in a minute. So you should be bawling when you think about your why, because therefore you've reached this emotional point within you that is then talking to your primitive part of your brain that is basically responsible for your behavior and your impulses and, you know, your kind of subconscious traits. So if you can access that, that helps you keep you on the straight and narrow. So my whys, I've got a big whiteboard, they were written down, and then every time I kind of went, you know, checked in on a daily basis at the beginning, because the days are long, the weeks are long, the months are long. So it's like, what else has benefited me today? And then I'd go, oh God, I wouldn't have done that if I was drinking, or I've actually felt like this. It was checking in and adding them to my list of whys. I mean, I've probably got hundreds of them now. And then you're looking at the bone, and then kind of, when you're having a moment or a craving, we just think, what's the point? Go back and look at my whys, and then just think, God, you know, my whys and my list of benefits. And you're like, yeah, I don't want to lose all of that. This is everything that I've gained. Yeah, so whys are massive. You know, using communities, sober communities. I mean, there's so many of them now. It's incredible to reach out, you know, because everybody generally who's on this journey wants everybody else to succeed. They're the most nicest, loving people, genuine, authentic people I've ever met. And it's like, they're just, you know, they just want everybody to succeed. So it's a case of, you know, throwing your heart out there as well, being honest. It's a real big leap of faith, but once you start to connect with people, yeah, noticing the wins, you know, things like weight loss, sleep, skin, hair. Like my hair is lush now.
You do have really good hair.
You do have good hair, right? And I'd like some tips on two things then, because I put on weight and my hair's crap.
You did well. I didn't catch the first bit.
So I put on weight as well, and I cannot I'm pretty sure that actually I was kind of undernourished when I was drinking.
Yeah,
you know
I'm so with you on that. Yeah, I put on weight in the first year, and I was like, this isn't supposed to happen. And I could see other people ahead of me in my journey, and they were leaping around with loads of energy. They were running marathons, they were doing Spartans, they were climbing mountains, and I was like, I can't do that, you know. My energy levels were still quite low, and I was like, this isn't fair. I feel like I'm hungover. I feel like I've never got, well, I never really got that like pink cloud, they call it, or this sudden burst of like, I'm not, you know, get out of the bed and it's like, I'm on this, you know. Yeah, but I've kind of delved into that as well, and it's not just like stopping alcohol, it's the whole nutrition around it as well. It's what we've done to our bodies needs a lot of time to kind of detox and to put good stuff back into your body. But I'd say in that first year of sobriety, my kind of mantra was anything but alcohol. It's like, I let myself eat the cake, I let myself eat the chocolate, I let myself have fizzy drinks. You know, it was like, that was kinder to myself than alcohol. One battle at a time. I was like, one battle at a time. So it started off fundamentally with alcohol. So and now it's, you know, kind of as the journey evolves, you know, I was like, if I just get it looks like when people give up alcohol, their whole life changes and they wave a magic wand, everything's perfect. That didn't happen for me.
If only.
I know, yeah. You're like, but lots of things.
And I'm still on that kind of journey now, like thinking, oh, am I ever going to get there? But I think, you know, I'm only 15 months sober.
Yeah.
So
only.
I was just going to say that. It's not an only.
Virtual slut.
Well, No, but I mean, it's relatively young in terms that when you compare it to 2 years, 3 years, I'm still learning quite a lot about the journey. I did find a pink fluffy cloud. Maybe that was my problem because I kind of floated around on it eating biscuits, but
Okay.
that might have been it. But yeah, I mean, were you a coach before, or did you go into coaching afterwards?
Yeah, on and off. I've been doing like self-development courses, programs over the last, what am I now, kind of 7 years, and then had gained qualifications, but I was like, oh, I can't do that, I'm not good enough. Oh, I can't, So with the alcohol kind of out of the picture and lots of things in place, in very early days of my sobriety, I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to set up my own business. I'm just going to do it. So in hindsight, it gave me like another focus, and I pushed it forward and I nailed it. But it was such a big distraction. I feel like I'm dealing with things now that I probably should have dealt with in the first 18 months of my sobriety. But realistically, I don't think I had it in me to deal and cope with what was coming up. So I've recently read Bryony Gordon's Glorious Rock Bottom book. It's brilliant. It takes honesty to a whole new level, and I could really relate, and it really resonated with me in quite a deep level. And I was like, okay, thanks, Bryony. I'm going to go and readdress some of these things. So, and I coached for, I was kind of with an organisation who did like bulk challenges, and I was so enthusiastic and I loved it so much and was so part of the community. They offered me a job to coach. So I was like, okay then. And then hold the group Zooms and, get involved with various events. And it was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. So alongside that and building up my own coaching practice, I kind of, so I've constantly always been coaching. I took a little bit of time out this summer because I kind of worked relentlessly all through lockdown, and then went, oh, okay, I'm feeling a bit, it's tricky, the whole homeschooling and lockdown and kids. So I just need to just basically hang out with my kids this summer, which is what I've done. So I'm slowly kind of winding things back up again, which has been brilliant. When you've got your own business, you can do that, can't you? So I'm incredibly lucky, incredibly fortunate. So
it's not just luck and fortune though, is it? Because obviously, like you've just kind of alluded to, when you get sober, you suddenly switch something on in yourself that's been asleep for a long time. And until you kind of take that step, even if you don't consider yourself having a drink problem, it's remarkable like how many options open up to you, and you think, what? Like Lisa, you say, don't you, that everything good, you can say it.
I'm just
stop looking at me.
We've got to this point right now in our friendship, from knowing each other since we were 11, where Alex just forgets sometimes, right, that I'm here, and she'll talk for me and she'll say it for me. And we had a conversation about it not that long ago, and she was like, when I was little, I think I did that for my sister. And I'm like, she now actually does do it, don't you? So I just drift off now because I think, well, she's just going to say it for me.
Say it for me. And I catch myself doing it like just then and go, oh, actually, it's your story that you better tell it.
It just shows how like in tune you are with each other. That's amazing.
So go on, Lisa. What do you say about?
Oh, I can't remember now. You know me better than me now.
She says everything good that's happened to her recently has been as a result of her stopping drinking. Don't you say that?
I do say that. No, I do genuinely believe, honestly, everything. I'm just going to say it again, but in my accent. But yeah, everything that is good is because I've stopped drinking. Like every day I'll say, that wouldn't have happened if I was still drinking, or just even tiny little things. It's amazing. And I didn't think that I was that bad, but obviously like 2 years later now I'm looking back, and we've just wrote a bit of a story for we're going into a rehab centre, aren't we? It's my favourite thing to do. I love it. But I've been kind of like looking at my story, and I can see how I've got more honest, over the last
more honest. She's added 2,000 words since the first time. We went the first time and she was like, now I don't. And now it's like loads.
As you grow in your confidence and it becomes part of your identity, you reveal more of your story. Like I can remember when I outed myself on Facebook, I was like, oh my god, and now it's like I just kind of put something on, you know, and it just feels so natural as well. So
yeah, go on.
No, here you go.
I was just going to say, with it being the rehab centre as well, we feel we can be more open than we would anywhere else, don't we?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think like we love both of them. The workplaces is great, but you've kind of got to
rein it in.
Yeah, you've got to rein it in. Where like we've been able to just go like, yeah, they might keep me in actually. They might be like, you're not ready to leave yet, Lisa.
So next time you're on a podcast, I'll be on with someone who's leaving and she'll be there saying, yeah, they kept her.
Oh, that's amazing that you're doing it. So I think kind of going back to the way, it's just being really like mindful as well, isn't it? And understanding that if you replace one habit, but you fill it with something else, you're not really getting to the deeper issue. I always talk about this big black void I had within me, and I kind of poured copious amounts of, you know, red wine into it. And that's when it kind of felt full, you know. The next day, that void was still there and probably slightly even bigger, because all the wine had kind of gone within my body. So it'd be so easy to kind of take the wine out and then put food in, and like I did, take the wine away and just be unbelievably busy, so busy that you can't kind of focus and just, you know, I completely distracted myself from actually what was going on and just counting the days, but not doing the other part of the work, which is all that self-awareness.
Are you twins?
No.
Can you see that?
Honestly, Polly, I think I massively relate to you, and our story is actually really similar, especially with like as soon as I stopped drinking, and I work with my mum as well in our business, I just went full force into it. And then obviously like with the Be Sober and the Sober Experiment, and then you forget, and then there's sometimes you feel like you've got to visit your dark hole, haven't you? Yeah. I'd love to know, how do you have tools? How do you deal with that?
Well, I think once you, as kind of coaches and in the work that you're doing, once you catch it, you're like, you can't not see it. You're like, god damn it, you know, you know that you're distracting, you know that you're trying to kind of fill a void, you know that you're trying to like busy yourself. So it's, but enable to be able to have this self-awareness, you need to slow down, which is so hard. It's like one of the most, you know, it sounds the most easiest thing. It's like sit and meditate, walk slowly, you know, do grounding exercises. I will do everything, but I will clean my house, you know, I do all the jobs I don't want to do. I go for a thing of paperwork, you know, to avoid sitting down and like being with myself, especially in the early days, because I don't know what I was so frightened of, you know, but that's the time when you're kind of mulling things over and thinking and processing, and that's when these things are coming up as well, for you to go, okay, I know what I'm doing, to identify patterns, to, you know, because it's like it's all individual to ourselves, to identify patterns and to see them come in rather than just kind of being railroaded into old subconscious behaviors, you know, because our brain basically has a motto. It's like, it wants to keep you alive. So therefore it's, you know, that whole self-preservation, do what I did yesterday because I've kept you alive, you know, and that occurs to drinking, that occurs to being busy, that when you're trying to swap and change things, it's going, no, you might die, you know, because it thinks we're back in caveman days, you know, and that kind of primitive Neanderthal. So that's when we need to apply all the brakes and the tools that we've got to go, no, this is kind of going my way. You need to do this consistently and constructively, in a way that you're making new neurons within your brains and new healthy go-to things to then start to shake up this subconscious mind and start to put your, you know, coordinates, so like a sat nav or something like that, to put in your coordinates for the direction that you want to go in rather than the direction that it wants to take you back, because it doesn't know that what you're doing is actually hindering the rest of your body. You know, the brain and the body are connected, but they often work in very different ways. So it's all just fascinating. The more I learn, the more I'm like, Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It's
so
absolutely
fascinating.
fascinating. And I've been listening to, we both, Lisa and I, do a lot of listening to various self-development books, but my latest one has been Brené Brown's Rising.
Oh, I love her.
And you know what? I never did until I've read this, because I thought Rising Strong, I've not read the others. I thought Rising Strong is what I need. I just want to know about resilience. I just want to know about vulnerability. And it got me thinking, you know, what I've spent my entire life doing is moving from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing for the next thing that's going to make me happy. External. New husband, new job, new holiday, new house, new car, new shoes, new anything. Hated being on my own. Hated it. And for the first time in my life, and I'm like in my 40s, I can sit on my own and just not have the chatter. For the first time, and I just think, oh, and it's not, don't last long, because the chatter does come quite a lot. But
yeah.
I've got these times now where I just have peace, and I can't explain that in any other way. Peace. I don't need anybody now, because it's peaceful. It's weird. Not always. Still in my head.
No, I completely relate to that. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing that as well. So, and I think, like you said, it's when you were looking at other things to fill the void. It's like, oh right, you know, this relationship isn't working, so therefore I need a new relationship, or this isn't working, and that, and you pin in all your hopes on that, and you get there, and it's like, oh, this is rubbish.
What's next?
Yeah. That. What next? What's next?
Yeah.
I read in lockdown as well. I can't think of the title. It's a Claire Pooley one. The Joy of the Ordinary, or
oh no, is that
Catherine Gray?
I always get those two mixed up, because they're both amazing at what they do. Yeah, exactly. And
I started that.
It was brilliant, and it made me think, what actually does make me happy? Because like you, is it external stuff? Is it internal stuff? It's like, well, what does? And it kind of galvanized me and inspired me to write down a list of things that actually make me happy. And they're so simple things, like, you know, belly laughing with the kids, playing with the dog, you know, sitting with my book in the sunshine. They're not things that cost $1 million. They're things that I can do. So now I'm like, oh, I'm feeling edgy, or I'm feeling a bit, you know, tired, or I'm not quite sure what do I need to do, you know. And I also use them to kind of things to rejuvenate you and to ignite your soul and to make you feel full up in life. And I'm like, I'm just going to go in the garden and play with the dog, or sun's out, you know, or you don't have to do it all day. Like, you know, it's not a whole day in the spa. It's like 10 minutes just doing this, you know, can just really reconnect you with yourself.
You love stuff like that, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And it's really funny, because I have spent my whole life trying to think of what makes me happy from being a little girl. And I remember the question, what do you want to do when you grow up? What makes you happy? What do you like? And I used to sit there and think, I don't know what I like. I don't know what I'm into. And I remember having a conversation with my mum, and I must have been about 20, because I'd had my daughter at 19, and I was starting to go out again a little bit. And I remember saying, Mum, I don't know what to talk about with people, because I don't know who I am, and I don't know what I want, and I don't know what makes me happy. So that book, the Unexpected Joy of the Ordinary, that's it. Like you say, it doesn't have to be this big thing. It can be anything, just like you said, walking the dog, just nice things. And I think we pressure ourselves so much to try and find things to make us happy. It's I started that book in lockdown, and then I stopped, and you've just fully reminded, because as you were talking then, this is what I was thinking, what does make me happy? And as the more you're talking, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I like just little things.
Yeah,
so yeah, thank you for that. You've really given me a reminder that I needed.
Yeah, caveat, I didn't finish it. I picked up another book, because I'm like that.
That's what I did
to myself. Pick it up again, because I really needed to do that. So I completely 100%, like, those words could have come out of my mouth as well, Lisa. So I think there must be a twin thing going on.
Yeah, that's so.
Honestly, I can't believe how much you remind me of some of the things that I see about Lisa that maybe she doesn't.
You know what else? It's what you said before about being a rebel. You know, you didn't do dry January because everyone else did it. Like, why would we want to do that when everybody else is doing it? I did October too, instead once.
Once, yeah. But in Catherine Gray's book as well, it was really refreshing to read. I am not naturally positive, and I'm, how does she put it? It's like naturally pessimistic and a naturally like not a depressed person, but you know, it takes so much work to keep yourself buoyant. It takes so much work to be positive.
God, I'm going.
Yeah, and it's like, God, I felt like that my whole life. You know, it's like I have.
You know, Polly, you don't even know. Have you been reading Lisa's Instagram, right? I promise you, Lisa says to me, everybody just thinks I'm so positive all the time. And she went, it takes work to be this happy,
Yeah,
you know?
and like life is hard. Like I've had to stop myself saying that. God, it's so hard. It's like, no, reframe. Is it hard? Is it challenging? What am I learning at the moment? So
do you find that though, Polly? Do you work hard at it? Because you do come across as a naturally positive person. So it's like you're human.
Yeah, no, I used to think happy people bouncing around like being all joyous would go home and shut the door and go, oh, thank God for that. I could be really miserable now. It's like, because sometimes that's how I I just thought, oh, they're on drugs. Oh, they're drunk. You know, oh, you know, I honestly, like, my brain just couldn't comprehend that we're happy like that all the time. No, it takes consistency. It takes energy, you know, energy that sometimes I haven't got as well, which is part of like my journey at the moment. It's sort of saying no to things. It's like I don't have to kind of, you know, give my all to everybody. That's okay. I know I need to reserve my energy levels, and I think that is the big learning curve and the big balance for me this year. It's I need to manage my energy levels, and it's okay to kind of go, no, that scenario.
I swear to God, you are telepathic with Lisa. Honestly, I can't believe it. I really am kind of it's the same point on your journey, isn't it, Lisa?
Yeah, we must be around, the same time and doing the same things, because it's just this morning somebody had put an Instagram post on, and it was all about saying no, and I'd commented on it saying I really need to do this, because I used to say yes all the time. Then I got good at saying no, but that was just to drinking things. Now I say yes to every single sober thing. So I need to,
even stuff that I end up doing because she ends up doing it. So she says yes to things, and then I go, oh, Lisa, we've agreed to do this, and she goes, yeah, all right, I'll read that book and review it, Lisa. It's all right.
Oh, teamwork.
Yes, teamwork.
Yeah, you delegation. Say yes, and yes. I mean, we have this conversation a lot about being able to say no and time management and time to keep you healthy. Your life is just super busy, isn't it, Lisa? So you do. I think that as much as you love being positive and you love being bubbly and you love doing everything for everybody, you don't recognise your own needs sometimes.
Definitely not. And I think you're the same there, Polly, with that, aren't you?
It's a complete diversion. It's like, it's so much easier to look after, run around, do everything for everybody else than it is to kind of have that look of what's going on within you. So, and it's only a case of, you know, I am so good at this with my clients. It's like, listen to your body. It will start to whisper at you. It will start to shout. It will start to scream. Well, at the end of lockdown, my body was screaming at me, like full on, like speakers full, and I was just like, ah. So yeah, I had no choice but to kind of go, oh, I think I might need to take this a little bit easier now. So I've been applying my own, and that's nice. I put a post out yesterday just to say, you know, I've had to focus on my one-to-one clients, I've had to focus on my health, I've had to focus on my family. I haven't had to focus, but I want to focus on my family.
That, Polly, it's that, do you turn things like pleasurable things into jobs? Because that's what I do. You know, where you said I had to focus on my family, right? This is the kind of thing that I've done. I'm like, I have to sit and watch a film with my daughter and spend time. Then I'm like, no, I want to do that.
I do, I really do. But it feels so guilty because there's so many other things to be doing, and it feels so decadent to just sit there and like. But actually, it's like, if I tell myself I'm doing this for somebody else, another member of my family, it's okay. You've got that kind of caveat. So
yeah, you're the same.
Yeah, completely. And I love it when I do it. You know, I've really engaged, and given like 101% to my children and my family, and they are just awesome human beings, and I'm just so proud of them all, you know. And like we said at the beginning, it's every aspect of my life has improved being sober. Some like were instant, some were slow, but they're all kind of like catching up, you know. It's almost like, I don't know if you do like the happiness wheel, you know, where you mark each aspect of your life, you know, they're all expanding and they're all growing. So I kind of think, why would I ever go back to that? If someone gave me an obscene amount of money, I'd just be like, no, I just don't, you know. And I feel really solid, you know, in my sobriety, but sometimes it feels really lonely as well. It's like,
it can be hard, can't it? Sometimes,
yeah, you feel like
when you were saying before about default can sometimes be miserable, I resonate with that, because I think that my default is kind of, you know, it's like, oh God, right. And it takes me a lot of effort. Well, actually, it takes Lisa a lot of effort to make me positive. And it can feel really lonely, like you say, because the vast majority of the people in my life just don't get it. They think that their good time is going out, getting drunk, socializing, and it's the going out, getting drunk. You know, some of the events in the family, I'm really noticing for what they are. It's not a Christmas, it's not a baby shower, it's not a wedding. It's an excuse to drink. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, exactly.
It glares out, and I'm like, oh my God, like it's so blinding. I was part of that, and until you're out of it, it's impossible to see.
And I always vowed I'd never be the parents I was to my children. I mean, admittedly, the benchmark was pretty low. So, but they were both alcoholics, and yeah, and I just think, God, I came so close, you know, but I couldn't see it. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
because I think when you're in it and you're consuming in it and you're telling yourself, you know, you're having fun, it's great, you know. For me, I think a lot of it as well was I was so tired, and the sugar boosted me and kept me going. So, and that's something I'm kind of, you know, kind of helping myself with now, with the help of like a nutritionist, of actually this food also gives you energy and can help you, you know, rather than that type of food. And you're like, it's a little bit like alcohol. You're like, oh, I didn't realize that. When there's other options that are spelled out, you're like, oh, okay, well, I didn't realize that. So, okay, I'll try and incorporate some of that in my life. But it seems so obvious. But when you're in it, you're like, oh, right, that's really interesting. It's like coaching with clients. You know, you say things and they're like, or you ask them and they come out of it and they're like, oh my God, that's so simple and that's so obvious. Why didn't I think? Because somebody isn't holding space for you. You know, it's like my only agenda is what's going on with you in your head and your body and everything. So we're getting all of this out, and you're analysing it to kind of come up with what you need to do yourself, and it's brilliant. But when you have those like light bulb moments yourself, you're like, okay, right, I'll start doing that then. But
your childhood, and I know we briefly touched on this last time in the sober sessions, it sounds very similar in many ways, and this is where we're alike now. Out the way, Lise.
So Alex, tell me more about that.
It's very similar to mine, and I think that the way that I grew up was saying things like, and you know, I say this now with absolute respect for my parents, even they did what they could with the tools they had, and I realise that now. They had their own traumas and their own pasts, and that's what made them the way they were. But when you're in that, you don't realise it. And I think I used to say things like, well, no, I did, I will never grow up to be like them. And because I never really got as bad as them, it allowed me to get almost as bad as them without being them. Does that resonate with you, do you think, Polly?
100%, yeah, 100%. And like I've just written down the word normal. It's when you're growing up in that, you think that is your normal. It's not until you go to a friend's house and you're like, oh, like their parents really interactive, or they want to know where their child is, or oh my God, like a meal that's being cooked, you're like, wow, you know, or, oh my God, that parent's cuddling their child. It's like, I want that. You know, it's not until you start to kind of see and realize that what's going on for home at you isn't normal, isn't acceptable. You know, I was subject to all forms of abuse, you know, mostly from my alcoholic parents and the, you know, unsavory people we had around us within kind of growing up. And my mum kind of, she took her own life when I was 8.
Wow.
So then I was left, with my father, who was a lot older than her, had been in the wars, and his medicine basically was to sit in a chair and drink whiskey. And I was feral, completely feral. I could go out all days, all nights. I had complete freedom. But I was also the one who wasn't invited to children's birthday parties. I was the one who wasn't allowed. No friends were ever allowed to sleep at my house. Now I'm like, as a parent, like, I understand that, So there was a few lovely parents who would, take me under their wing and, kind of look out for me, But I'd go into school, and the teachers would take me home at lunchtime to give me a bath, and my shirts were like disgusting. They weren't washed, and my hair was lank, and I was very, very thin as well. We were given, like a tin of hot dogs and tins of tuna and things like that, and that was kind of food. But he did the best that he could with the tools that were available to him. But for a long time, I felt like it was my fault that Mum didn't want to be part of my life, and I had to do so much work around that, and that to get to the core level of that, because that was stemmed a lot of my self-hatred. And there was times where I thought, well, I miss her so much, I just want to be with her. What's the point? Had tried to end my life on several occasions, and I'm lucky enough here to be today, and I've had amazing friends along the way. It got too much for him to care for me. I was a handful, I didn't deserve what happened, but I was a handful. I was desperate for attention, any attention, negative attention. I didn't care. So he put me in hospital for the last time, and they kind of came in and said, right, you're going to foster care. I think they'd been watching. I don't know how they let it get to such a bad level. I think there was a lot of sympathy for him as well, but anyway, that's, one day I might investigate in it. I'm not quite sure. So I'd like some sort of closure, and I'd like a little bit more detail in how they did leave you, and how they did leave me in such a neglectful state for quite a long time. So I was put into foster care, and it was 20 miles away from my hometown, and for me that was like the end of the world. I was like, oh my god, it took me away from everything, and it was the best thing that ever happened. I was loved, I was fed, I didn't have to kind of do the housework and all the things that I was 14 at the time, all the things a 14-year-old shouldn't really be doing. And they're still very much part of my family today. I'm the one that just never went back. I was only supposed to be there for 3 days. They're known as grandparents to my children, and I'm just eternally grateful to them. Same with my husband as well. He just always believed in me and just loved me unconditionally, and it's been a big part of my journey. So even though I've tried to push him away so many times.
That is so moving, and like, I don't want to patronize you at all, but you're like, to consider where you are now from where you've come from. The journey, it's been difficult, but you must be incredibly proud of yourself to have come through. I know we don't get over it, and by the sounds of things were rougher for you than they were for me, but we don't get over it. But you've come through it, haven't you?
Definitely, and I'm grateful for every single thing that happened to me, because it's made me the person I am today. Even the bad stuff, it's like I can now empathize and help other people that feel safe enough to talk to me about the things that have happened. I can never understand it from their perspective, because we all have different versions of it, but and I love my job. I love my job. I think it's more like a vacation, and that fills me up more than any. And so to have that deep level of satisfaction and to give back, I'm happy, I'm extremely happy. So and I speak openly and honest to my children about it, and they know, and I'm really open and honest about my journey, and just to hope that if I'm speaking out about things, other people, if I'm as vulnerable and honest as I can be, it gives permission to other people to help them with their kind of demon stories, and to know that, just to give people hope and to inspire people that you know, the way that I was thinking, feeling and behaving wasn't going to be like that forever. I really felt like, you know, my life was going to be, you know, I was going to be thinking, feeling and behaving like that forever. And now on the flip side, it's like, oh my God, like people need to know this, that you can change all of this. You know, yes, it takes work, it takes effort, it takes stepping up, it takes having conversations with yourself that you don't want, you know. But it's the other side is just absolutely phenomenal. So I want like everybody to know in the world.
Oh, that's amazing, honestly, Polly. Before we kind of finish, would you mind telling everybody, just as you can with the detail that's needed, about what your business is, where they can find you? Because I'd love to recommend some of what you do to people on our podcast. I think you've got a heck of a lot to offer.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, like I said, it's kind of evolved as I've evolved, really. And I really love working with people who, because there's a lot of, what I see at the moment, there's a lot of support out there to help people who are just started, like just early gates, just kind of started. But I kind of like working with people who are further on, who have gone, oh, well, this is rubbish. You know, I'm going to go back to drinking, and to kind of scoop them up and go, there's a little bit more going on here than just the drink. You know, I feel there's not a lot of support there for people who have gone, well, I've done X amount of days and it's rubbish, it's crap, you know, and to help them look at other aspects of their life and what's going on, you know, inside their head and their body, to help them, you know, make a full recovery rather than kind of going back. So I'm an empowerment coach as well, which kind of all part and parcel of it all, to help you, you know, exactly like you said, kind of that resilience by saying no, helping with, you know, yourself with boundaries, and generally just empowering your life in all shapes and forms. So so yeah, I can put some links in later if you want.
Yes, well, definitely when we do the bio and things, we'd love to have all your links, your handles, everywhere everyone can find you. So if you just hang on at the end when we finish the podcast, and we'll just have a brief chat about that, because definitely, and I've already got people in mind, and I know Lisa,
wow, yeah,
massively helped by, you know, because we do the early stages. We're helping people get sober, and they get to 30 days, 100 days,
even longer.
And
I know.
like, what am I going to do in my life now? You know,
I got to 365 and went, now what? I was bitterly disappointed. I was like, now what? I felt really, really lost, and that's the sort of people that I kind of want to go, okay, look, you've nailed this, you've done absolutely amazing. Look how creative and resourceful you are. Now what's next? You know, to help them take it on that next level, and to, you know, help with the healing as well, and to help them have a better relationship with themselves. Because drinking, you know, we drink because we're trying to fill a void, you know, and trying to get to the bottom of why this void is there and how we can fill it up in a way that's satisfying and a way that's constructive going forward. And I just don't feel there's enough support.
There isn't.
No, I think it's brilliant. And I know I can tell by Lisa's face. She's like, No,
I do. I just think it's fantastic. It didn't even cross my mind. So I think it's just absolute. I don't even know why it didn't, but that's just, it's genius. People definitely need that. So can I just say,
anyway, we can kind of help to collaborate in that way as well. Because
definitely.
I don't know how quite to get my message out to kind of make it clear. It's not something you just drop in on your personal page. It's kind of, I'm unclear how to get that, you know, completely being honest, unclear how to get that out. So I've seen your progress and your marketing and how you're doing it. I'm like, wow, God. So
we can have a chat about that, definitely. I just want to say before we do go, because I am dead wary of time, but honestly, thank you so much for being so honest and opening up to us, because I know that will really, really help so many people. Like you said, when you share your story, it does inspire others. And I'm really honoured to talk to you. And it's given me proper goose pimples, that. But thank you so much
Polly.
for that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
You're so welcome. I've absolutely loved it. It's amazing. So.
And we'll speak to you soon, hopefully.
Most definitely.
We definitely will do.
Definitely will in about 5 minutes when we've gone off the podcast, and we're going to have a chat. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.